Hey, what's up, folks? I'm back for another Classic Fight Club. I'm gonna do a few more of these, see if they stick or if anyone's interested in them, and if they don't, I won't do them anymore. But I'm gonna do a couple more. A couple people asked me about my fights, which I didn't think I would do starting this. But if you guys want to see them, I'll talk you through them, I guess. Honored that some people want that. Oh, another thing. Some people ask me about doing some famous fights and famous knockouts. If it's famous, it's Zuffa. It's prior to the UFC. I can't do those without getting a cease and desist. I can try one, but I'll probably get a cease and desist and have to take it down. So that's the problem with doing anything famous. It's big enough that you guys know it. I'll probably get a letter saying, don't do that anymore. And you get a couple of those, they'll take down your channel. So I can't have that. So anyway, if you guys want to see my fights, the first two you can't find, or I can't find the first one for sure. It's from a thing called Neutral Grounds, which was like a Pancrase amateur thing in San Pedro, California, in the back of a bar. It was in the backyard of a bar nightclub thing, and I had 3 days notice and fought in that. I armbarred the guy in like 28 seconds, just under 30 seconds. So all I know about him is he was from Submission Factory, which is Larry Lantless's old team. Then my first official, real fight was in King of the Cage against a guy named Matt Stanzel, and I won that by decision. I can't find it because it's mislabeled. So if you look on SureDog or these other record places, they have the wrong event there because a lot of times they didn't name events until after they were already on DVD. So you'd go to the King of the Cage and you just see King of the Cage whatever, and then they'd put a name on it later. So I don't know the name of the event. I don't remember. So I had a DVD copy somewhere. If I can find that, I'll talk you through it. If not, oh well. If someone can find it online, I'll talk through it. So this is the third fight of my career against a guy named James Lightning Wilkes, who actually won the Ultimate Fighter, UK versus US. And there's a funny story. I met James 3 weeks earlier at the Machado tournament, which is a no-gi event. And we were at the rules meeting, and for some reason, we started talking. And so we're sitting there, we're chit-chatting or whatever. Same division, but we didn't end up grappling one another. And that was it. And then 3 weeks later, at this time in MMA, it's like the Wild West. So it's going to be a little weird to you guys. You didn't know who you were fighting until you showed up. So I showed up at this event, and I see James. And I'm like, hey, man, how you doing? And he goes, hey, good. How are you doing? And I said, who you fighting? And he goes, oh, we look at the bout card, and we're fighting each other. And so like, oh, okay. And we sat down and kept talking. And so the rules meeting happened, and at the end of the rules meeting, they had everybody stand up. So they went, Jimmy Smith, and I stood up, and then they went, James Wilkes, and he stood up, and he was right next to me, and everybody thought that was hilarious. And everybody started laughing, and the promoter, Ted Williams, was like, hey, you guys getting along all right? And I'm like, yeah, sure. We're going to try and kill each other tomorrow, but right now we're cool. And I shook his hand. I said, good luck, man. See you tomorrow. Hope your camp was good. And so before it starts, a teammate of mine, Joe Camacho, told me he had sparred there. He's from CSW, James Wilkes. And Camacho had sparred there, and I don't know if he sparred with James, but he said he likes to look down and throw a high kick. That's one of his tricks. And my boxing coach, John Webb, said if he looks down, throw a right hand. Don't even think about it. If he looks down, throw a right hand. So that was all I knew going into the fight. So here we are, me versus James Lightning Wilkes, King of the Cage. There he is, making his way in. Good kickboxer, taller than me, rangier, and there's a young Jimmy Smith with a bit more hair. I was from a little jiu-jitsu team at the time. And Wilkes comes out, and I'm telling you, he looks down and threw a high kick, and all I did was throw a right hand. He did exactly what Joe said he would do. He looked down, threw a kick. So he looked down, I threw a right hand, knocked him down. It didn't connect that clean. I just caught him off balance because he threw a kick. So we're both blue belts at this time, and I'm trying to clear myself up and stand up, and I felt his toe on the outside, and I thought I could get a quick toe hold, and I recklessly dove for this leg submission. And as we're rolling around here, fortunately I have a really hard head. So as we're rolling around, I think right about here, I felt my knee pop really loud. So I knew if I didn't finish it right now, when we stood up again, I'd be limping and he would kick my leg to death. So the reason I'm so tenacious with this leg lock and I don't want to give it up is I didn't know if I could stand up again. Those were the only punches that hurt. Well, the ones he landed right there with my head was kind of trapped against the floor. Those hurt a little bit. Other than that, I just didn't really notice getting hit. I was just like a dog with a bone. I just kind of went after it. So I'm trying to straighten his leg out, unlock his leg, either go toe hold or knee bar here. And I'm just refusing to let this go. Rolling around. The Japanese guy told me afterward, he goes, dude, you fight like Japanese. You get a leg lock, you don't let it go. And I said, no, I do not. So here's where I get it. When I reach over with my right hand, once I grab the heel, it's over. Boom, knee bar, straighten it out. He taps, and that's it. But I walked out of the cage, and about 2 seconds later, leaving, even trying to get from the cage to the steakhouse, it was the casino steakhouse thing, I couldn't walk. It was really, really bad. What I found out later is I had blown out a minor stabilizer in my knee, meaning not ACL, not MCL, nothing like that, but there are these minor stabilizers on either side of your knee that kind of hold the sides of your the two leg bones together. And mine on the outside, I forget which leg it was, just popped. It just totally ripped, and so it's not there anymore. So that's what happened in the fight. But that's me versus James Lightning Wilkes, King of the Cage 39. Next one is this guy, Mario Ackerbert. Sometimes it's listed as Mario Ackenberg. So, but as far as I know, it's Mario Ackerbert. His nickname, I'm not joking, was the Stubborn Snail. That was his nickname. And I didn't see it at the time because either I walked in second or I just wasn't paying attention when he walked in. But he had a thing under his sweater that looked like a snail shell. And he had a can that said whoop ass, and he opened it before he walked into the cage. Whatever. I drove like 10 hours to get there. So it was up near Oakland. And I lived in Southern California. I lived in LA. But it was like really far north and east. So it was a drive and a half. So I drove like 10 hours to get there. And so did my team. So he had fought a guy who worked for King of the Cage, was like their ticket guy. And he had mentioned to one of my teammates, he goes, the guy's not that good at any one thing. He just doesn't ever quit. And he has a really, really gigantic gas tank. He just doesn't ever. It's just, the stubborn snail. He just keeps going and going and going until he passes you up, apparently. I guess that's the source of his nickname. So anyway, that was the deal, is that I knew he had a good gas tank, but he wasn't good at any one particular thing. This is a Gladiator Challenge event. Must have been 2004, 2005. I'm not really sure. But let's check it out here. Oh, wait. Let me switch this over. Pause this real quick. There we go. So, Gladiator Challenge, there's Mario Ackerbert, touching gloves with a young Jimmy Smith. I like to start out with kicks at that time in my career because when you kick, they tend to kick back, and then that would set up my takedown. I had my coach always said they almost always do what you do in the beginning. So I landed a kick, I set him up, and I fell backward. I was so mad at myself because I had good penetration. He got under my chin, and I just kind of fell. So I'm in closed guard, but I have a really aggressive closed guard. I walked it up. There's his arm. Boop. 29 seconds. And that was it. And he was a hometown guy. So the crowd just went completely dead. They didn't even know what. They were like just getting to their seats. And it was over. So his fans tremendously disappointed. But that's what. And I tried to leave. I was like, all right, it's over. And the ref's like, I got to raise your hand, Jimmy. So I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. So I got my hand raised. That was it. I drove 10 hours and fought, I think, 29 seconds. And it's not always listed the right way. Sometimes it's listed as like 3 minutes and something. And I'm like, no, it took like 29 seconds. But yeah, I had good penetration on that shot. I was so mad that he got under my chin and I lost my balance and fell. I was so pissed, but I kind of made up for it here. So nice tight arm bar and then his tap or snap. And the ref didn't see his tap. It was on the other side. I was just a good guy and let go. I wouldn't hold on when somebody taps. So there you go. I had to string all these together because all my fights are really short. I only went the distance a couple times in my career, and neither one of those I have. So these are all comparatively quick. And then there we go. This one's Vicious Vince Guzman. And sometimes it's listed as Guzman, Guzman. So anyway, he was from Millennia. That was all I knew at the time, is he was a Millennia guy. And for those of you who don't know, although you should know, Millennia, great team. Romy Aram, Javier Vasquez, Batiste Mansouri, John Alessio, Mac Danzig. Good team, especially in Southern California at the time. So not a lot of their guys had a ton of success at the huge level or anything like that. But a lot of them had a lot of success in California. So if you were fighting a Millennia guy, and there's a young me, you knew you were fighting a guy who was well coached, who's going to be prepared. You know? So I knew that going in, that I was dealing with a guy who was well prepared. And there's a young in-shape me. That's Ted Williams behind me, the promoter. There's the outline of my back tattoo. I had just gotten the outline done, the outline and shading. So I don't have the full tattoo yet. Man, it's weird looking at stuff like this because it's been, obviously, this is what, 15 years ago for me? Long time. That's my boxing coach, John Webb. That's my old teammate, Joe Camacho. And that's kind of the King of the Cage guy, by the way. He checked you out. This was on tribal land, so there was no commission. So kind of like King of the Cage did all the checking and the weigh-ins and everything. So that's me getting in. I had a good camp. I was in good shape. I felt good. You're always nervous. At least I was always nervous. I guess some people aren't, but I was always nervous. Always had that little bit of energy. It felt better as soon as I grabbed somebody. The referee was Cecil Peoples. So anyway, I felt confident going in. But there is Vicious Vince Guzman from Millennia. That's Mac Danzig right behind him. I think Romy Aram was in his corner as well. I think you see him coming up. But tall guy, strong, good reputation as a fighter. They're like, dude, so that's Manny Tapia, I think, right there. So good team of experienced guys, and that's important. You knew he wasn't some scrub from some camp you never heard of. And some dude dancing with a ring card girl, because people did that back then. This was in Saboba Casino, I think, out in San Bernardino. Out in the desert, fighting on Indian land. That's where I fought all the time, because the fights were not sanctioned yet. This wasn't legal in California. So there's my opponent getting checked out. Another bald-headed white guy. It's like a uniform in this sport. But taller than me. He was about 6'1", I think, if I remember correctly. But 6'1", strong, big dude. This was a tough fight. It really was. You'll see why in a minute. So I always touch gloves first. I did what I normally do. Quick body kick to start out. And I knew he would kind of overcommit to get back at that body kick, and then I was going to clinch and see if I get a takedown. I may have been a purple belt by this point, but for some reason I had a lot of submission in my ground game. I mean, a lot of confidence in my submission game. I'm sorry. And so that's what I tended to go for. So I'm like, okay, he's bigger than me. I'm going to lean on him, maybe wear him down, hopefully get a good position, and kind of make him carry my weight a bit. And if you can't tell from my other fights, I had a really aggressive submission game. I just kind of went for stuff. Now, look at his left hand, okay? So here's what happened. I had him against the fence, and I was going to pull him away and get the takedown. And look at his left hand. He grabs the fence and launches me. And at the time, I remember thinking, like, man, I thought I had him, man. That was a good throw. And then I saw the replay, and he just reaches down and grabs the fence and throws me. And the referee didn't catch it. So he's in my close guard. I have a very aggressive close guard. But his corner really kept him in it. 9 times out of 10, I get this armbar. And his corner called out, armbar, defend. And he was right on, and he smashed my left eye. All those punches are right at my left eye. So he bashed it pretty good, okay? So, okay, didn't get that. I'm going to stay aggressive and like I always am with my submission game, see if I can get something done here. it was so frustrating because everything I was working and setting up, his corner was calling out right before I did it. So I think I would have caught him, but he got just enough notice that he was able to pull out of stuff. Like right here, you see my guard's active. I'm able to keep him off balance and get my game going, but goddamn good coaches at Millennia kept him in the game. So now I'm thinking triangle setup because the armbar didn't work. So I'm trying to control the wrist, keep my arms up, my legs up underneath the armpits, aggressive guard, and wham, I get the triangle. But he, once again, he was right there to defend. I thought I could straighten out the arm. He steps over well, and I can't get, I should transition out of this. And what does he do? Bam, he comes right down on that left eye. Now my left eye is jacked up. Jacked up. I couldn't see out of it. It was all swollen, and it turned out like a light. He came down with an elbow and just, boom, I couldn't see anything. So now I'm in desperation mode again, just like the Wilkes fight. I can't see. So I know I have to finish it right now. And then here he makes a mistake. We're up against the fence. They might have stood it up. And here's what he does. He takes both hands and they're right next to my head and he leans forward just like that. He leans forward and gave me the arm. I angle, I come out with his arm, and boom, that's it. But I was in desperation mode there. If he had just stalled, and I would have had to stand up with him, and I couldn't see out of that left eye. And you see my nose is bleeding and everything. I would have had no depth perception. And he probably would have kicked my ass. But he overcommitted with his arms and kind of put his weight on me, and it's easy armbar. I was just so happy at that point that he gave me the arm. So those are 3 of my fights. If I come across any more, I will break those down for you if you want. So like I said, I'm going to continue with this classic Fight Club thing for a few more and see if it catches on, if you guys like them, if it gets any traction. So those are my fights. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll be back with another one very, very soon.